Welcome everybody. The name of this week's workshop is It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It's about making neighborhood objects from start to finish. And let's jump right in. How are neighborhood objects different from build by objects? The difference is neighborhood objects don't have an OBJD resource, so they don't have what you would normally find in an OBJD, like an MMAT and a unique 8-character GID. It does have a GID, but that's stored in the XNGB, and we'll see that a little bit later. As such, it's not recolorable. Instead, neighborhood objects have an XNGB that takes the place of the OBJD. What resources do we edit when we make neighborhood objects? So in addition to what you would normally do with a deco object, just replace the scene graph resources, which are the GMDC, the texture, the TXTR, maybe modify the TXMT if it needs it. We would also edit the XNGB. And we'll see how to do that a little bit later. Creating a new object. So if we're going to make a neighborhood object from scratch, we would start in Object Workshop as we will with a deco object, but we're going to Other, Neighborhood. We select the object to be cloned, and then we build it out, rename the scene graph, all of that as we would with a regular object. Then we replace the mesh in the GMDC, we replace the TXTR. If the object is too shiny, we're probably going to need to reduce the specularity and the diffuse in the TXMT, and then we edit the object's description in the STR. That can also be done in the XNGB. The XNGB resource and why it's special. The XNGB is Neighborhood Object XML, and it's a unique XML resource that only neighborhood objects have. It's kind of like, if you're familiar with other build objects like fences have an XNFC, and essentially it's a text editable resource that changes different properties. So the things located in the XNGB are GID, that's a globally unique identifier. This is the value that identifies the object as unique in game. How does the game determine if an object is unique? It looks for that GID value within the XNGB. Placement surface. This determines where the object can be placed. Accepted values are 0, land only, 1, water only, and 2, water and land. Allowed in lot. This determines whether an object can be placed inside a lot. 0 is false, 1 is true. Allowed on road. Same deal. It determines if an object can be placed on a road. 0 is false, 1 is true. This would be handy for like a bridge, like an overpass that's going over a road. Remove on lot plop. So essentially this overrides allowed in lot and allowed in road values. As in, when it's placed on a lot, it removes the object that's occupying that space. Ideally, this should always be set to 0. Sort. This determines the subcategory the object is sorted into, so we have 5 of those in neighborhood objects. The accepted values are flora, stone, landmark, effects, or miscellaneous. This is going to determine when you open the neighborhood objects bin, this is going to determine the sub bin that it's in. This is handy when we're adding thumbnails. We'll see that a little bit later. Thumbnail group ID and thumbnail instance ID. These are the values that the game uses to see a neighborhood object's thumbnail if that's applicable. And here's a snip of one of the XNGBs. Type, we see it's CANH, that's create a neighborhood. That's the name. We can change the name string here. We can, or we can do it in the STR. You can add a description. I don't think it really helps. This is the GID. This is the globally unique identity of the object. And then cost isn't really relevant. All of these other things don't matter that much. We see the model name, that points to what it's actually seeing in the scene graph. Placement surface, we've got a 2 here, so we can see that this one is placeable on roads over land or over water. Allowed in lot is 1. Remove on lot plop, we just set that to 0. Allowed in road, we leave that as 1. Sort effects, and we'll get to that a little bit later when we get into thumbnails. Thumbnail group ID, this tells us where to find the thumbnail essentially, and the instance is the value of the instance that it's looking for. Creating two-phase neighborhood objects. For this example, we're going to use the cloning template provided. I added that in the workshop post. Clone the object in Object Workshop and give it a new name. And then in this case, there are going to be 2 subsets, a day subset and a night subset. We would need to replace both of those with the object that I provide. In the TXTR, we can delete the extra components, leaving only the day and night textures. Then we replace those with the textures that I provide in the post. Then in the shape, we delete the extra lines, so we're leaving only the day and night. Then in TXMT, we delete the extra resources, so we're just leaving the day and night phases of the TXMT. And that should be it. Once you have added the textures, added the meshes, and deleted the extra resources, they should work as a 2-phase object. And we'll see that a little bit later on when we put it into practice. Adding thumbnails. So to add a thumbnail to a neighborhood object, if you're familiar with adding accessories, this should be a snap. In the XNGB, we sort the property to effects. So we just change the sort to effects. Then we right-click anywhere in the resource list, and we select Add from the drop-down. We grab the thumbnail that we're going to add. I provided those in the resource post. We change the file type to all files so that we can locate non-SymPE resources, and we just grab the little JPEG. Then we switch to the resource tab, and we select, for the type, we select the JPEG TGA PNG image, and that's the type. We go to Tools, Object Tools, Hash Generator. We select a radio dial. We set the radio dial to CRC32, copy the value, and then we paste that value to group. And we need to notate that because we need to copy that to the XNGB. Then we switch the radio dial to CRC24. We copy the value and we paste that value that it generates to instance, and we notate that. Then we switch back to the plugin view and we go to the XNGB. Those 2 values that we copied, the group and the instance, we need to paste those in the corresponding properties in the XNGB. Then we commit, we save, and that's it. It should work. So let's start with our friend George. So we go to Other, Neighborhood, and we're just going to clone one of the old rocks. So beach boulder is fine. We go Next. Next. I'm just going to rename it George. And then I rename the scene graph just something. I put Test Neighborhood Gorilla 2 Workshop. It doesn't really matter, just so that you have a unique scene graph name. We update that. and I'm going up here. I'm going to call this one Neighborhood Gorilla -2. Okay, then we go to the GMDC, and we're going to do a little bit of subset work because this one actually has two subsets. So we import the one that says George. Body is going to replace the neighborhood, what is it? Neighborhood Beach Rocks border A surface, just like that. And eyes, we're just going to add that. Okay. Then we go to TXTR. So we commit that. I'm sorry. Went a little bit too fast. We'll build DXT. And we're going to grab George's body, just like that. DXT3 format and build. Commit. And we're adding a subset. So that was called eyes. What we do is clone, grab the second subset, and instead of surface, we're going to name this eyes. Once again, build DXT. We grab the eye texture that I provided in the post, and we build. Okay, and then we commit, we go to the shape, and we select the only line there, and we add. Now, after the underscore, instead of surface, I'm going to name this eyes. Commit there. Now we need to build a material to connect the eye texture to the shape. So we go to TXMT. We're going to clone, and we rename after the underscore. We just rename this eyes. We grab the texture name. We make that after the dash. We make that eyes. Then we go to the file list. And we rename that eyes. And we rebuilt the TXMT. Now we do a fixed integrity operation. We go Tools, Object Tools, Fix Integrity. Let's have a quick preview. What we're looking for, okay, I think something is up. Something isn't being linked. Okay, yeah, it's not seeing the texture. So, now we go Tools, Object Tools, Scene Grapher. So something isn't connecting. The shape is seeing both TXMTs. That's really weird. So the eyes appear to be connected. We don't have an orphan TXTR. So what, oh, okay, I see what's happening. So what I forgot to do here, we rename this subset eyes. So it's pointing to the right material. I just didn't have the subset name correctly in the SHPE. We will do a little bit more of that next week when we get into the actual subset workshop. Okay, so it looks like George is looking good. Now let's have some fun with the XNGB. Select the XNGB, once again in the resource list, and I'm going to rename it George here. This is where the game actually sees the description. And I'm going to add a description. Don't mess with the GID. These don't super matter. The ones that matter are down here. Placement surface 02, so water and land. Allowed on lot 1. Allowed on road, I'm also going to make that a 1. Remove on lot plop, I'm not modifying that. Then in the sort value, I want to change this to effects. Why? Because I'm going to add a subset. And I think everything else looks good for now. So, give that a quick save. Then we open our trusty notepad. So here, we want to go add in the dropdown. And then in the lower right corner here, we change this to all files. We'll look for our gorilla thumbnail. Then we select this one that it just added, which appears as user defined in the resource tree, resource list, and we hop over to the resource tab. We change this to JPEG, TGA, PNG image, just like that. Then tools, object tools, hash generator. Now we select the CRC32 radio dial. We copy that value. We paste that in group. Then on our notepad, we notate our group. Then back to the hash generator. Now we select CRC24. We copy that value there. Now we can close the hash generator. We paste that in instance. And we notate our instance here. Hop back over to plugin view. And yep, that's our thumbnail. Now back to the XNGB. The XNGB, so it's asking for thumbnail group ID. That's our group value. We paste that here. Then thumbnail instance ID. We grab that. We paste that there. We commit and we save. We're all done with George. Now, back to the object workshop. Now we're going to make a two-phase neighborhood object. We start over. We open. And this time we're going to open instead of start. And we're going to grab Criquette's two-phase neighborhood template. We open. Give it a cool name. And like before, we rename the scene graph. We just call that moon. We update. And I'm going to call this neighborhood moon 2. But you can call yours whatever you want if you're following along. Okay, so we go to the GMDC. Grab it in the resource list. And we can see immediately there are all of these extra subsets that we don't need. So just hop over to the Groups tab, and we delete those. So the only remaining are day and night. Then we import. Grab the moon. We replace the day subset that we import once again. Grab the moon. Replace. This time we replace the night subset. Now, important, double check to make sure that both subsets have the same poly count because they should be the same object. Commit, and that's a GMDC. Then we go down here to the TXTR. We can see that there are multiple things here. We don't need railing. We don't need roof. We don't need surface. Should only have the one that says surface night and surface. Give that a quick save to get rid of all those extras. So we in the resource list we select the one that says night and we build DXT. And let's grab moon night. Okay, what's going on? I think SimPE is just being funny. So, once again, just the one that says moon because the other one says moon day. We grab the night surface. We commit, then we move on to the day. So we grab moon day. Just leave it in DXT5, it doesn't really matter. We commit, we save, and that's the TXTR. Now we go to the TXMT. So we grab all of these extra materials. We just leave Windows Day and Windows Night. For Criquette's things specifically, you have to look down where it says text material. You copy the entire string after the exclamation point, just like that. So we do the same thing here. We just copy all that entire string. We replace it down here where it says text material. To make sure that this is correct, go back to the GMDC, grab the GMDC in the resource list, and let's unselect night. So we're just showing day. Okay, that looks correct. Now, let's hide day and show just night. Okay, so it looks like it is a two-phase object. It should work when we load it into game. Now let's mess with the thumbnail. So in XNGB, let's check what's going on here. Placement on surface, want that as 2. Allow in lot, we want that as 1. Remove on lot plop, I don't love that, so I'm going to move it to 0. Allowed on road, I'm going to make that a 1. Commit and save. Actually, let's give this a different name. Let's call this Big Moon. Give it a description. Save that right quick. And let's do the neighborhood thumbnail. So just select anywhere in your resource list and add. Then select all files, grab the moon thumbnail. Then we grab that undefined resource, select it in the resource list, and hop over to the resource tab. Once again, we're looking for JPEG, TGA, PNG image. Then we go Tools, Object Tools, Hash Generator. First, we select the CRC32. That's going to give us our group value. Copy, paste, and we paste onto our notepad. Then, back to the hash generator, we select CRC24. This is our instance value. Copy, paste instance, and we paste it here. Double check that we've got the right thumbnail. Give it a quick save, and back to the XNGB. And here, I forgot this. This is important. We need to change. It is sorted as MISC. We're going to rename it as Effects. That's going to enable the thumbnail. It's kind of dumb because only Effects can have a custom thumbnail. We paste the group value of the thumbnail. We paste the instance value of the thumbnail. Commit. Give it a quick save. And we're ready to test. So if you look here, this is the regular neighborhood object, the one that had the gorilla that we built the thumbnail for and the extra subset for, and that looks pretty good. And if you go back out here, this is our moon. If I could get the sky to quit clipping. That's our moon, and then if we switch to night, we can see that it has two different phases. There's day, there's night. And that's pretty much it.